Have you ever done something so reckless, so shameful, that it feels like the air in the room shifts when you think about it? My voice echoed louder than intended in the cozy hum of laughter and clinking glasses around the living room. A hush fell over the group, eyes turning toward me. Some faces held amusement, others curiosity. Only one, my husband Alex, looked faintly wary, as if he already knew that whatever was about to tumble out of my mouth would change everything. I swirled the wine in my glass, feigning indifference. I continued with a forced laugh. Have you ever kept a secret so big it feels like you're carrying a grenade in your pocket? You wonder if it's going to blow up, or if you'll manage to smuggle it out without anyone noticing. Wow, Clara, my best friend Tara teased, her perfectly arched brows rising. That's ominous. What are you hiding? Alex shifted uncomfortably beside me on the couch, but he didn't speak. The others leaned in, drinks momentarily forgotten, their attention now riveted on me. It had started innocently enough, this party. An impromptu gathering at our place, filled with close friends, warm laughter, and far too much Pinot Noir. But now, as I sat on the edge of revealing the thing I'd buried for months, the once familiar atmosphere began to feel alien, suffocating. And yet I couldn't stop myself. I'm just saying, I continued, letting my gaze flicker toward Alex for the briefest moment. Sometimes, when you have everything you've ever wanted, you start wondering what it would feel like to risk it all. The silence that followed was deafening. I should have stopped. I should have laughed it off, made some joke about too much wine, and changed the subject. But something in the room, the wide eyes, the breathless silence, made me feel both terrified and powerful. It was like dangling on the edge of a cliff, daring gravity to do its worst. It's not like anyone here hasn't had regrets, right? My voice was lighter now, almost conspiratorial. Or done something stupid. Like really stupid. Tara tilted her head, her glossy blonde waves catching the light. Stupid how? The group chuckled uneasily except for Alex. He hadn't moved, hadn't laughed. His hand rested stiffly on his knee, and I could feel the weight of his stare even as I avoided meeting his eyes. Oh, I don't know, I said breezily, waving a hand. Like, hypothetically, of course, spending too much time at work, happy hours. Getting friendly with a colleague. Tara sat up straighter, her wine glass halfway to her lips. Oh my God, Clara. Who? My heart stopped. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I thought I could play it off, turn the grenade into a firecracker, something harmless. But now the words were caught in my throat, fighting to escape. I hesitated, but Tara pressed on. Oh, come on. Spill. Was it Tom from marketing? I always knew he had a thing for you. Her teasing tone made the others laugh nervously, but there was nothing funny about the way Alex's knuckles whitened on his glass. No, my voice cracked. The laughter faltered. It wasn't Tom. The silence returned, heavy and expectant. The air seemed to shift as I felt Alex's tension beside me. My gaze darted to Tara, who was grinning, oblivious to the storm brewing. It was Eric, I blurted out. The name dropped like a bomb. The room froze, every pair of eyes locking onto me. Eric wasn't just some random colleague. He was Alex's oldest friend, the man who had been the best man at our wedding, the guy Alex still called his brother. A glass shattered in the background. I whipped my head toward the sound and realized Alex had stood, his drink slipping from his hand to the hardwood floor. His eyes burned into mine with a mixture of disbelief and betrayal that made my stomach churn. What the hell, Clara? His voice was low, measured, but that only made it worse. The room erupted into murmurs and awkward glances as everyone instinctively shrank back from the unfolding scene. I didn't mean, I stammered, but the words wouldn't come. Alex's face twisted, his composure unraveling with each passing second. Didn't mean what? He snapped. Didn't mean to cheat on me? Or didn't mean to tell everyone about it at a goddamn party? The murmurs grew louder, a cacophony of whispers and shocked expressions filling the room. I felt like I was suffocating, the walls of our living room closing in around me. Tara's mouth hung open, her wine glass dangling precariously from her hand. Even she didn't have a quip to diffuse this. Alex's chest heaved as he stared at me, his jaw clenching so tightly I thought it might crack. Answer me, Clara, he demanded, his voice trembling but still sharp. How long? My mouth opened but no sound came out. The truth was choking me, clawing its way up my throat. It wasn't. How long? He shouted, his voice echoing off the walls, silencing the crowd. A few months, I finally whispered, tears welling in my eyes. It wasn't serious, Alex. It didn't mean anything. The room collectively flinched at my words. Alex let out a bitter laugh, running a hand through his hair. Didn't mean anything? Are you kidding me? You slept with my best friend, Clara. My best friend. And you're standing here, downplaying it like it's some casual mistake. I reached out toward him, desperate to explain, but he recoiled, stepping back as though my touch would burn him. His eyes shimmered with betrayal, and I hated myself for what I'd done. Alex, please, I pleaded, my voice cracking. I didn't plan it. Just happened. We were drunk and things got out of hand. Tara broke the silence with a strangled laugh, a nervous tick that turned into a full-blown giggle. Oh my God, Clara. You're serious. You slept with Eric. She looked around the room wide-eyed. This is insane. Alex whipped around to glare at her. You think this is funny? He snarled. Tara's laughter died in her throat, and she shrank back. This is my marriage we're talking about. Okay, Tara muttered, holding up her hands. I'm sorry. But Jesus, you can't just drop this on everyone and expect us to act normal. Alex turned back to me, his face hardening into something unrecognizable. Where is he? He asked, his voice low and dangerous. Eric's not here, I said quickly, panicking. I haven't seen him in weeks. It's over, Alex. I swear. Over, he repeated, a bitter edge to his voice. Oh, that's convenient. Because if he were here, I'd... He didn't finish the sentence, but the implication hung heavy in the air. The tension was unbearable, the room buzzing with unspoken judgment. Everyone was watching us as if we were characters in a soap opera, their discomfort palpable but their curiosity too strong to leave. Tara tried to cut through the tension again, stepping forward cautiously. Maybe we should all just take a breath, she offered weakly. This isn't the time or place to. No, it's exactly the time and place, Alex interrupted, his voice rising. She chose to humiliate me here in front of all of you. Why shouldn't I return the favor? Alex, please, I begged, tears streaming down my face now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to come out like this. Didn't mean for it to come out, he shot back. Then why the hell did you start talking about it, Clara? Did you think it would be funny? A joke for the party? I don't know. I cried, my voice breaking. I don't know why I said it. I was scared, okay? I thought maybe if I told you like this it would hurt less. Oh, well done, he sneered. Mission accomplished. I feel great. Someone's phone buzz, the intrusive sound slicing through the tense silence. I turned my head toward the noise and froze. It was mine. Alex's eyes flicked toward it, and before I could stop him, he snatched it off the coffee table. My heart plummeted as he unlocked the screen. His face darkened as he read the message that had just come through. It's from him, Alex said, his voice eerily calm. He says he misses you. A fresh wave of gasps swept through the room, the collective discomfort morphing into outright scandal. Tara muttered something under her breath, but I couldn't focus on anything except Alex's fury. You're still talking to him? He hissed, his voice trembling with rage. After everything? No, I said, reaching for the phone, but he yanked it out of my reach. I didn't reply. I blocked him weeks ago. I don't know why he's texting me. Of course you don't, Alex spat. He tossed the phone onto the couch as though it disgusted him, then looked at me with a mix of anger and heartbreak that shattered what little composure I had left. I can't do this, Clara. Not here. Not now. He turned and walked toward the door, the crowd parting like the Red Sea. Someone tried to call after him, Tara maybe, but he ignored them. Alex, wait. I sobbed, chasing after him. I grabbed his arm just as he reached the door, but he shook me off. Don't touch me, he said coldly. You've done enough. The door slammed shut behind him, and for a moment I just stood there, trembling, my hand still outstretched. When I turned back to the room, all I saw were wide eyes and whispered judgments. Tara stepped forward, but I held up a hand, silencing her. I need to go, I murmured, grabbing my coat and slipping out the door before anyone could stop me. The night air was cold and sharp, biting at my tear-streaked face as I stood on the porch. Somewhere down the block, I could see Alex's figure retreating into the darkness, growing smaller and smaller until he was gone. And for the first time I realized he might never come back. I stayed on the porch for what felt like hours, my fingers numbing against the cold metal of the railing. The house behind me buzzed faintly with muffled voices and footsteps as the party slowly disbanded. No one came out to check on me, not Tara, not anyone. Maybe they thought I needed time alone. Or maybe they didn't know what to say. I wasn't sure I wanted them to. Eventually I forced myself to move. My legs carried me back inside. But the living room was empty now, save for a few abandoned glasses and a jacket someone had left on the couch. The air was thick with the ghost of what had just happened, every corner of the room heavy with shame and regret. My phone sat where Alex had tossed it, the screen dark. I picked it up hesitantly, half expecting another message from Eric. But there was nothing new. Just the last message he'd sent, taunting me with its simplicity. I miss you. I deleted it immediately, my thumb hovering over the block button again just to be sure. But the damage was already done. Alex had seen it. He had seen everything. I collapsed onto the couch, my head in my hands. What now? How could I fix this? Could I even fix it? The questions spun through my mind, each one more suffocating than the last. When the first knock came at the door, I flinched. For a brief, desperate moment I thought it might be Alex. But when I opened it, it was Tara. Her expression a mix of pity and annoyance. "Are you okay?" she asked, stepping inside before I could respond. "No," I said flatly, closing the door behind her. "I don't think I'll be okay for a long time." Tara crossed her arms, leaning against the wall. "What were you thinking, Clara? I mean, seriously. Dropping that bomb in front of everyone? What did you think was going to happen?" "I didn't think," I admitted, my voice trembling. I don't know. I felt trapped, and I thought maybe if I ripped the Band-Aid off." "Well, you ripped it off all right," she said with a bitter laugh. "And now Alex is God knows where, probably losing his mind." I sank onto the couch again, guilt crashing over me like a wave. "I don't know what to do, Tara. He won't talk to me. I can't fix this if he won't talk to me." "Do you even want to fix it?" she asked bluntly, her gaze piercing. "Or do you just feel bad because you got caught?" Her words hit me like a slap. "Of course I want to fix it," I snapped, my voice rising. "I love Alex. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. But that doesn't mean I don't love him." "Then you need to figure out why you did it," Tara said, softening slightly. "Because if you can't answer that, how can he believe you won't do it again?" I looked away, ashamed. I didn't have an answer. Not one I was ready to face anyway. After Tara left, I spent the rest of the night pacing the house, waiting for Alex to come home. But he didn't. By morning, the weight of his absence was unbearable. I grabbed my keys and drove aimlessly, unsure where to go until I found myself parked outside the coffee shop where Alex and I had met years ago. It felt wrong sitting there without him. The memories of that day flooded back. The way he had made me laugh with his dry wit. The way he had smiled when I accidentally spilled coffee on his shirt. Back then everything had felt so simple, so pure. How had we ended up here? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through photos of us. Smiling at a friend's wedding, hiking together on our anniversary, sitting on the couch with his arm draped around me. Tears blurred my vision as I typed out a message. "Alex, I'm sorry. Please come home. Let's talk." I stared at the words for a long time before pressing send. But as the hours ticked by with no response, my hope began to wane. That evening I took a drastic step. I sat at the dining table with a notebook, writing out everything I needed to say to Alex if he ever gave me the chance. The truth I'd avoided for so long spilled onto the pages. My insecurities, my resentment, my fear of being overshadowed by him. It was ugly and raw, but it was honest. By the time I finished, the notebook was filled with pages of apologies and confessions. I tore them out, folded them into an envelope, and scrawled Alex's name across the front. I didn't know if he'd read it, but I had to try. I drove to his friend Mark's house, where I knew Alex sometimes crashed when we fought. Mark answered the door, his expression cautious. "He doesn't want to see you," Mark said before I could even ask. "Please," I begged, holding out the envelope. "Just give him this. That's all I'm asking." Mark hesitated, then reluctantly took the envelope. "I'll give it to him," he said. "But don't expect miracles." Thank you, I whispered, my voice cracking. As I drove away, the silence in the car felt deafening. All I could do now was wait and pray that Alex would find it in his heart to at least hear me out. The days stretched into weeks, and Alex never responded. Each morning I woke with a flicker of hope, thinking maybe today would be the day I'd hear from him. And each night, I went to bed with the crushing weight of his silence pressing down on me. The envelope I'd poured my heart into might as well have vanished into thin air. I tried calling Mark again once, but he cut me off before I could get a full sentence out. "He's not ready, Clara," Mark said flatly. "Maybe he never will be." It was a hard pill to swallow, but deep down I knew Mark was right. Alex's silence wasn't just anger. It was finality. He wasn't coming back. A month later, a letter arrived in the mail. My heart leapt as I saw Alex's name in the return address, but when I opened it, the words inside shattered what little hope I had left. It was a formal notification from his lawyer, outlining the terms of the divorce. The language was cold, clinical, and impersonal, a stark contrast to the warmth that had once defined us. He didn't want anything from me, just a clean break, as if I were a chapter in his life he was ready to close for good. I signed the papers that same day, my hands trembling as I scrawled my name at the bottom. The realization that it was truly over hit me like a tidal wave. And for hours after, I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at the wreckage of my life. The days that followed were a blur of half-hearted attempts to move forward. I went back to work, avoided social gatherings, and kept to myself. I deleted my social media accounts after seeing a picture of Alex at a bar with his friends, laughing and smiling in a way I hadn't seen in years. He looked free. Meanwhile, I felt trapped in a cage of my own making. One evening, as I packed up the remnants of our life together, framed photos, wedding mementos, the throw blanket we used to fight over, I came across the journal I'd kept while we were dating. Flipping through its pages, I was struck by how bright and full of promise our early days had been. Back then I'd felt like the luckiest woman in the world. How had I let that slip away? The answer wasn't hard to find. I'd allowed my insecurities to fester, turning Alex's success into something that made me feel small instead of proud. I'd stopped seeing him as my partner and started seeing him as someone I had to measure up to. And when the resentment grew too heavy to bear, I'd taken the coward's way out, seeking validation in all the wrong places. I'd been selfish, reckless, blind, and I'd lost the one person who had loved me despite all my flaws. The first snowfall of the season arrived on a quiet Sunday morning, blanketing the streets in white. I stood at the window with a cup of coffee, watching as neighbors shoveled their driveways and kids built lopsided snowmen. For the first time in weeks, the silence around me didn't feel so oppressive. It felt peaceful. Alex had been my world, but he wasn't coming back. I couldn't change the past, and I couldn't force him to forgive me. What I could do, though, was learn from my mistakes. I picked up my phone and called a therapist I'd found online the night before. The receptionist answered, and I hesitated for a moment before saying, "Hi, I'd like to make an appointment." It wasn't much, but it was a start. As I hung up, I glanced at the boxes stacked by the door, ready to be donated. Among them was the wedding album, tucked carefully into a corner. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away, even though it hurt to look at. Maybe someday I'd find the strength to open it again, to remember the good parts of what we'd had without being consumed by regret. For now, though, I had to focus on the road ahead. It wouldn't be easy, but it was mine to walk, and for the first time in a long time I felt ready to take the first step.